The marshals then conducted him that ranked highest up to the seat of the throne. A God said, "In the name of Jehovah, and by his power, wisdom, and love, do I ordain thee God of heaven and earth. He that receiveth from my hand receiveth from my Father who raised me up." The initiate said, "All power cometh from the Father, all wisdom cometh from the Father, all love cometh from the Father. In his name and by the virtue of his commandments through his Son, receive I all that is put upon me for his glory forever." God then said, "Give me a crown, O Father, for thy Son." A scarlet light descended from above, and the God reached forth his hands and wove it into a crown and placed it on the initiate's head, saying, "A God, heaven and earth thee I crown. And now thou shalt receive also the sacred triangle, which is the heirloom of the gods of the earth." And he hung it around his neck adding, "And since there can be but one God on earth or in this heaven, I herewith uncrown myself in Jehovah's name, and salute thee, O God, God of earth and heaven." Ashana stood to the right, and a God who was ordained went and sat on the throne, and there descended red and blue lights from above, enveloping him completely, and he was quickened. He said, "Let the initiates for lords of earth approach the throne of the Most High Jehovah." The 5 lords came forward. A God said, "Join hands and receive ye from the Father, by virtue of the power, wisdom, and love of Jehovah vested in me. Receive I thee as the highest chosen, and I proclaim thee Lord of earth in Jehovah's name. Accept this crown from heaven above, the light of which cannot be woven from earthly things. By its power shalt thou remain in accord with Yeshua and the kingdoms above." A God fashioned the crowns and then crowned the lords of the 5 divisions of the earth. A God said, "Retire thou aside and choose thy messengers and officers, and after ordaining them depart to the kingdom prepared for thee." The Lord said, "In thy name, O Jehovah, do I accept that which thou hast put upon me. With all my wisdom and strength and love will I serve thee, O my Father, Jehovah." The lords retired, and the Essenors sang, more than 1,000,000 voices in concert. Chapter 9. Now had the time come for the end of the first dawn of Dan after the creation of man. And this was known in the Ethereal heavens, where live the countless millions of Jehovah's sons and daughters emancipated. And as might be expected, they determined to descend from all sides to witness the labors of Ashong, and to receive his works as a profitable lesson for their own future on other new worlds. Consequently, there began to appear in the firmament far-off stars approaching, and these were the Ethereal ships in remote places, where the name of Ashong had been known for thousands of years. From all sides they came, growing brighter and brighter, larger and larger. Ashong spoke to his companions, saying, "Make ready, O my beloved. My friends and your friends are coming. Put our ship into order, light the pillars of fire, and spread out the sails a-shining, that they may be glorified in Jehovah's name. The proper persons accomplish these things as to the eastward Yeshua. The Etherian ship Ashon was anchored, and so great was the size thereof that there was room for the Etherians of Anacharon, and upward of 300 million of the redeemed earth besides. Ashon said, when our friends arrive, we shall join them and make an excursion round the earth, discovering its rank and glorious promises. But as to the 900 million Drujahs which I sent off to Hudao in Gi, we shall pass thither on our way to Anacharon. Ha! Brighter and brighter grew the descending stars, the Etherian ships from far-off worlds, and larger till in majesty they neared Yeshua. Ashon then came down and sat at the foot of the throne, according to the custom of the gods. God came down and took him by the hand, saying, Son of Jehovah, that maketh thyself the least of men, arise and take thy host and embark in Jehovah's ship, a-going whithersoever thou wilt. Ashon rose up, the Essenars and trumpeters played and sang. Then Ashon said, one more love have I in the world, O Jehovah. I go from Yeshua, but my love remaineth. To thee, O God, will I look back in hope and love, for thou wert raised by me. And to the Lord's what less could I say? Yea, and all the host I leave within these realms. What? Ashon touched God's right hand, and then saluting with the third sign of Emeth to Jehovah, departed, and the marshals conducted him off to the ship. Ashon and his Etherian host rose up in curtains of light, and presently the ship was loosened from its anchorage and floated upward. And all the angels entered into it, and the sails were spread out, and the mantles and the sails and the mantles suspended on every side, till the whole vessel with its thousands of masts and arcs looked like a world on fire. The inhabitants of Yeshua feared and trembled for the mighty works of the gods and goddesses. And yet as the Essenars on the departing ship chanted more than 1,000,000 voices, the Yeshuans sang with them amidst their tears with souls overflowing with awe and love and admiration. And in the same time the descendant stars of other gods and the goddesses, the Etherian ships from far-off worlds, were drawing nearer and nearer, and on every side the firmament was as if alive with worlds on fire. Presently they came, first one and then another of the Etherians, and they made fast the Ashon's ship, until thus more than 500 were united into one mighty vessel, and yet so near to Yeshua that all could be seen. And when they had united, there were countless millions of angels thus in close proximity, many of whom had known one another for thousands of years, and some were older than the earth and knew its history. And these had companions as old as themselves, and they were ripe in experience with corporeal earth, stars and suns, and other regions of Jehovah's kingdoms. So great was the wisdom of these gauds and goddesses that to come within the earth's atmosphere was sufficient to enable him to read all the souls and prayers of mortals, and all the thoughts and desires of the spirits of the lower heaven belonging to the earth. To each and all of them the voice of Jehovah was ever present, and their power was like unto their wisdom. Jehovah hath said, to the corporean I have given power to hear one or two things at the same moment of time. But my gods can hear intelligently tens of thousands of men speaking at the same time. Yea, they can find a way to answer 'em also. When the ships were ready for departure, Ashong said, let us pass low over Yeshua, and ye shall hear and see those I have founded in a new heaven. His companion said, Jehovah's will be done. Thereupon they proceeded, and after they had visited Yeshua, they descended to the earth, and round about the places of the lords, and when they had seen all and heard an explanation from those with the Ashon of the state of the earth was in, and of the heavens of the earth too, they rose higher and higher, and raised toward Anacharon, whither Ashon had invited them for repast and social intercourse. Thus departed the Etherians from the earth and atmosphere. This then was the beginning of the cycles of Dan, and the first dawn was closed and past. And the earth of gods, that is the lords, who were now called Adonia, were such as had been brought forth out of the earth, and the God who had dominion in atmosphere of the earth was also an earth-born, and so were all the angels in atmosphere, the product of the earth. And in Jehovah's name were the lords and the God appointed and crowned to rule in their respective places, and they thus became the instruments of Jehovah for his glory. Jehovah said, whoever serveth me in my name is my son or my daughter. The light of my judgment falleth upon them sufficient for the time and place. Insomuch as ye honor 'em, ye honor me also. Through the flowers of the field I express myself in color and perfume. Through the lion and mastodon I express myself with power and voraciousness. Through the lamb and the dove I express myself in meekness and docility. Through man I express myself in words and actions, and all men, the wise and the ignorant, are channels of my expression. Some have thick tongues and poor speech, nevertheless they are my babes, my sons and daughters. Jehovah said, after the same age I gave to the earth from my Etherian heavens sons and daughters, and they abode with mortals for 3,000 years. And my Etherians established Luais on the lands of the earth, and they commanded the Luais, saying to them, your office is to lead mortals by inspiration and dwell together, man and woman, as husband and wife, and in such adaptation that their offspring shall rise higher in wisdom, love, and power than the father and mother. Jehovah said, I will confound the wise man in the latter days, for he shall not discover why man and woman live not indiscriminately, for he shall not discover why man and woman live not indiscriminately as the beasts. Yea, I will show 'em that they who profess me are led by me, and they who deny me go down to indiscriminate communion. Out of my work shall the lessons of the early days of the earth show the presence of my hand from the beginning. By my lou eyes was man and a woman inspired to raise up such sons and daughters as would glorify me in my works. By my lou eyes have I maintained my foothold amongst mortals, such as could comprehend me, having faith that my presence and person should ultimately triumph. For the highest and best I commanded to be called faithists. Since the beginning have I kept a thread of this line in heaven and the earth and her heavens. At the end of the second cycle there were an atmosphere of 6,000 million angels, who were for the most part in darkness, not knowing who they were, where they dwelt, nor knowing nor caring whether there were other heavens or not. And now began wars in atmospheria, thousands of angels against thousands and millions against millions, for the possession of sections of the earth and the mortal inhabitants thereof. Went forth these millions of warring angels, and it came to pass that mortals also fell to war, and by the obsessing angels were made to destroy their own cities and the kingdoms. And the attractions of this great wickedness caused other angels of the heaven to desert their schools and factories and descend down to mortals. Thus again were the kingdoms of God and his Lord set at naught. The harvest of brides and bridegrooms had long since ceased to be. The first harvest was 200 years, and the number of brides and bridegrooms was 600 million, a great 92. The second harvest was 200 years, and was 800 million angels, a great 89. The third harvest was 600 years, and was 2,000 million angels, a great 83. What? The fourth harvest was 500 years, and was 2,300 million angels, a great 74. The fifth harvest was 300 years, and was 600 million angels, a great 62. The sixth harvest was 400 years, and 900 million angels, a great 51. And this was the last harvest, for none were of sufficient grade to abide in the Etherean heavens. And the book of Ashon, son of Jehovah. Second book of Lords, of the second cycle being contemporaneous with the book of Ashon, son of Jehovah. Chapter 1. In the beginning man was a naked and not ashamed, but the Lord raised man up and bade him hide his nakedness. And man obeyed and was clothed. And the Lord walked by man for a long season, showing him the way of resurrection. And man was obedient, dependent on the Lord for all things. And the Lord said unto man, Behold, I have walked with thee, and taught thee, but my indulgence thou hast neglected to put forth thine own energy. Now I am gone away from thee for a season, that thou mayest learn to develop thyself. But lest thou stumble and fall, I'll leave with thee certain commandments, and they shall be a guide unto thee and thy heirs forever. Hear thou then the commandments of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt love thy Creator with all thy mind and heart and soul, all the days of thy life. And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, because thou wert born in the world without a covering, thou shalt clothe thyself. Then inquired man of the Lord, Behold, thou hast shown the ass what is a good, for him to eat, and the fish, and the serpent, and the lion, every living creature, but man only hast thou not shown. The Lord said, Of everything that groweth out of the ground that is good to eat, give I unto thee, and they shall be food for thee. But of all things flesh and blood wherein is life, thou shalt not eat, for thou shalt not to kill. Man inquired of the Lord, Thou hast shown the males and females of all the living times and periods to come together, but man and woman hast thou not shown. The Lord said, Thou shalt learn from the beasts and birds and fishes that the female during gestation is in keeping of her Creator. Thou shalt also respect the times of woman. Man inquired of the Lord, Thou hast shown the bird how to build her nest, and the carnivore how to scent the subtle track of his prey, and the spider to weave his net. But as to the manner of man's house, or as to herbs that are good or are poisonous, thou hast not shown man. Ha! The Lord said, All the instinct that is in the bird or beast or fish, or insect or creeping thing, was created with them, but man was a created blank. And yet man shall attain to more subtle senses than any other living creature. Man inquired, How shall man attain to these? The Lord answered, Serve thy Creator by doing good unto others with all thy wisdom and strength, and by being true to thine own highest light, and all knowledge shall come to thee. So the Lord left man for a season to himself, and man so loved the earth and whatsoever ministered unto his ease, and to his flesh desires, that he fell from his high estate, and great darkness came upon the earth, and man cast aside his clothes and went naked, and became carnal in his desires. Chapter 2. The Lord went abroad over the earth a-calling, Come to me, O man, behold, thy Lord is returned. But man heard not the voice of the Lord, for by man's indulgence the spirit of man was covered up in his own flesh. The Lord sent his Luais, masters of generations, angels next in rank above guardian angels, i.e. the Ashars, to the Ahins, and they raised up heirs unto the Lord. By controlling the parentage of the unborn, brought they into the world a new race of men, of the same seed and blood as of old. And these heard the voice of the Lord, and the Lord said unto man, Because thou kept not my commandments, thou hast brought affliction upon thyself, and thy people to the farthest ends of the world. Now will I raise thee up once more, and deliver the tribes of men from darkness into light. And the Lord delivered man into wisdom, and peace and virtue, and the earth became as a garden of sweet-smelling flowers, and luxurious fruit. The Lord said, How sayest thou, O man, shalt thou still have a keeper? And man said, Behold, I am strong and wise. Go thou away from the earth. I understand thy commandments. The Lord inquired, Knowest thou the meaning of love, thy Creator? And man said, Yea, Lord, and to love my neighbor as myself, and to do good unto others with all my wisdom and strength. Yea, I have the all highest delight. I am wiser than the ancients. Behold, I want no Lord nor God. I am the highest product of all the universe. The Lord said, I will try thee, O man. I will go away for a season. So the Lord departed once more, and man had nothing to look up to. So he looked at himself and became vainglorious. And the tribes of men aspired to overcome one another. War and destruction followed. Man forgot his Creator. He said, No eye seeth me, no ear heareth me. And he neglected to guard himself against the serpent corporeality. And the serpent said unto him, Partake thou of all things, for they are thine. And man gave heed, and lo and behold, the race of man descended into utter darkness, and man distinguished not his sister or mother, and woman distinguished not her brother or father. And God beheld the wickedness of man, and he called out to saying, Hear my voice, O man, hear the voice of the Lord. But because of the darkness of man, he could not hear the voice of God, his Lord. And the Lord sent his angels down to man, that they might appale to man's understanding. But the angels loved darkness also, and they strove not to lift man up out of darkness. And the Lord was of no more avail amongst mortals, and he departed away from the earth. And man became on the earth as a harvest, that is, blighted and rotted because of its uprightness. End of the second book of Lords. Synopsis of 16 cycles, being 48,000 years, and also including the sub-cycle of 1,000 years of darkness, covering a period from the creation of man down to the submersion of the continent to Pan, called by the ancients the Flood or Deluge, which was 24,000 years BK, selected from the records in the libraries of the heaven. Chapter 1. First, the earth plied in a circuit around the sun, which circuit is divided into 4 arcs, being spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Second, the sun with its family plieth in a large circuit, which is divided into 1,600 arcs, the distance of which for each arc is about 3,000 years or 1 cycle. During a cycle, the earth and her heavens fall in the Etherean regions of hundreds of Etherean worlds, where dwell Jehovah's high-raised angels, whose chiefs have to do with the management of worlds. What? During the time of a cycle, the earth is therefore under the control and management of such a Jehovah's angels for the resurrection of man and the earth. At the time of the creation of man, the earth was a-traveling in the ark of Wan, where dwell thousands of Orient chiefs with thousands of millions of high-raised angels. The holy council of Orient chiefs, through the wisdom and voice of Jehovah, appointed one of their number, Sathantes, to take charge of the earth and to people it with immortal beings during its travel and wane. The rank and title of Sathantes, thus raised up by Jehovah, creator of worlds, was first God of the earth and her heavens. And Sathantes came with millions of angels who had been raised up from other worlds previously, and he accomplished his work and was known as a god. Sathantes was then the first god of the earth and her heavens, and his place was within the Ark of Wan. And during his cycle of 3,000 years, he raised up from the earth 4,400 million brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah. After Sathantes came Ashong, sub-chief in the realms of High-Ui, in the High-An Ark of Vihiteva, and during the cycle of Anacharon, also 3,000 years, Ashong raised up from the earth the harvest of 7,200 million brides and bridegrooms. The third cycle was under the dominion of Huli, surveyor of Kakayensta in the Ark of Gimel, and his harvest was 3,700 million. The fourth cycle was under Sipi Aban, chieftainess of Sulgoweron, in the Ark of Yan, and her harvest was 4,800 million. The fifth cycle was under Pathodices, roadmaker in Chitivia, in the Ark of Yahometak, and his harvest was 6,400 million. The sixth cycle was under Goimagak, god of Aseg, in the Ark of Samgawathka, and his harvest was 7,900 million. Ha! The seventh cycle was under Gopens, god of Kaim, in the Ark of Srivat, and his harvest was 9,300 million. The eighth cycle was under Hysis, goddess of Ruts, in the Ark of Hohamagolak, and her harvest was 9,400 million. The ninth cycle was under Seitzitsius, inspector of roads in Kamatra, in the Ark of Jusyin, and his harvest was 10,100 million. The 10th cycle was under Miskalitiva, chieftainess of the archers of Laws Goback, in the Ark of Nu, and her harvest was 10,800 million. And now the earth was full of people. All the continents and islands of the earth were inhabited by man, nor was there left any wilderness wherein man did not dwell. But the generation of man had fallen from 33 years down to 12 years, and man and woman were at maturity at 7 years old, and not many lived above 30 years, but they were prolific, many a mothers bringing forth 200 sons and daughters, and from out of foreign of birth. And man dwelt in peace, and the earth was tilled, and brought forth abundantly of everything that was good for man to eat, and to clothe himself. And there were in those days great cities of hundreds of thousands of inhabitants, thousands and thousands of such cities, and in all the 5 great divisions of the earth. And man built ships and sailed over the ocean in all directions, around about the whole world. By the angels of the Lord was he taught and guided in all things, and man had books, both written and printed, and the young were taught in schools a knowledge of the sun and moon and stars, and of all things that are upon the earth and in the waters thereof. This was therefore called the first period of civilization on the earth. Now, for the most part, all the people had become eye-hens, small, white, and yellow. Nevertheless, there were ground people with long arms who were large, but they dwelt by themselves, and their food was of all manner of flesh and fish and of creeping things. The ground people were brown and black, and they lived to be 200 and even 400 years old. Jehovah said, "In the early days I raised up Ahooins and gave them certain commandments, amongst which was not to cohabit with the Drucks, lest they go down into darkness. But they obeyed not my words, and lo and behold, they are lost from the face of the earth. Because the Ahins have become a spiritual people and have prospered in peace and spirit, behold, they have degenerated in the corporeal body. They yield abundant harvest for my Etherian realms, but they are like untimely births. Now will I bring the earth into Aegean fields, and forest for a long season, for I shall again reproduce the Ahooins, and the time of a generation shall be 33 years. For my harvest shall be of fruit that is mature and full of ripeness. And Jehovah brought the earth into new regions in the Etherian worlds, and covered it over with Agi, east and west and north and south. And it came to pass that many of the eye-hens lost the generative desire, and so brought not forth many hairs. But the brown people burnt with desires, and they laid hold of the eye-hen women, when they went into the fields and forced them, and thus brought forth again the Ahooin race, the copper-colored, strong, and bright and quick. Accordingly, the 11th cycle, which was under Gobath, got a Tirangathaga in the Arkasuli, brought forth a harvest of 6,700 million. The 12th cycle was under Phaius, goddess Aluga, in the Arcasian, and her harvest was 2,600 million. The 13th cycle was under Zenithaes, Caper of the Crest, in the Ark of Oleganiah, and his harvest was 1,200 million. The 14th cycle was under Toths and Taga, ground maker in Hapanogos, in the Ark of Manitou, and his harvest was only 600 million. The 15th cycle was under Nemeus, god Athos Gothamachus, in the Artha Siega, and his harvest was only 40 million. The 16th cycle was under Neph, god of Soghones, in the Ark of Arbrook, but he failed to bring forth any harvest. Chapter 2. God, that is Neph, said, hear my prayer, O Jehovah. The earth and her heavens are gone down in darkness. The eye-hen hath been disparled in all the divisions of the earth, save Wagga, More than 30,000 million angels are gathered on the surface of the earth, and they are too low and great to be delivered. What shall thy God do, O Father? Mortals are descended in breed and blood. Only as deceased vermin do they inhabit the earth. Their cities are destroyed, and they dwell after the manner of four-footed beasts. The inspiration of thy God and his angels can no longer reach them. When they die and enter these heavens, they are festering sores on one another, thousands of millions of them. For 3,000 years have I labored with them, but the abundance of their darkness outmatcheth thy God. What shall I do with them, O Father? How shall thy God deliver so great a carcass of death? But Jehovah answered not the prayer of God, left him to consult with other gods in the higher heavens, left him in darkness another 1,000 years. But in Etheria Jehovah spake to his Orient chiefs, saying, As I try mortals, so do I try angels. As I try them, so do I try my gods. Forever and ever do I keep before them the testimony of all higher. Now it has come to pass on earth that the time of a generation of mortals has risen from 12 years to 80 years, and there were many who lived to be 300 years old, and they had become very large, twice the size of men of this day, but they were without judgment and a little sense. Hardly knew they their own species, and they mingled together relatives as well as others, so that idiocy and disease were the general fate of the tribes of men, and they were large and strong and prolific. This then that followed is the great declension in the heavens of the earth. That is, after Kishalon had changed the period of generation from 12 years into the upper grades, to wit, Abner 7th dawn of Dan, and during 3,200 years in Hastaff, Atherian Agi 7, Hoetan grade 99, and Sinai goddess of Marseph, Etheria, Dan a Jim, and during 3,000 years grade 93, Boaz got a home, Orion Field, Dan a Josh, and during 2,700 years grade 88, ha! Deiva goddess of Wawitsky, and Agi 36 Dan a Ruth, and during 2,900 years grade 82. Liames, goddess of war and Broek, Dan 40, Orion Field, Semsai, and during 3,000 years, grade 77. Devias got a hut in Hayback, GI 22, Neth, and during 3,100 years, grade 69. Roa Yisyis goddess of Tamak, bent 100 outs, and during 3,070 years, grade 61. What? Yaj, chief of Orion Field, Lud in Goo, Dan 74, and during 2,600 years, grade 58. Gul Yaniv, chieftainess, Orion Field, Ballou, in GI 40, and during 3,400 years, grade 51. From this time onward, there was found no grade in the roadway of the solar phalanx, great serpent, sufficiently dense for the angels of the heavens of the earth. Chapter 3. The time of 1,000 years of darkness. Jehovah moved upon the Ethereal worlds, in the wide regions where travelleth the great serpent. His voice went forth, and amongst the counselors, the high ruling chieftains of the exalted kingdoms in the firmament, he spoke, saying, Hear me, O ye chieftains, be ye far-seeing in my travelling worlds, and alert to my worlds. Behold, the red star of the earth hath attained her maturity, but she is rank. As a daughter cometh forth in the prime of life, so standeth the young earth in her glory. For 50,000 years hath she played her part as an ornament to heaven, and a harvester of bright souls from my exalted regions in the firmament. Gather together, O ye Orient chiefs, and ye Ethereal goddesses, and ye that dwell in the roadway of the great serpent. Call ye a council of my everlasting rulers of worlds, and of them that plant my Aegean gardens and my Geaean fields, and of them that whirl my nebulous vortices in the firmament. The voice of Jehovah extended across the wide universe, and those who were high raised in the management of worlds heard and comprehended. And there assembled in the Ethereal gardens of Sinai, near the roadway of the solar phalanx, millions of Jehovah's highest, and the place was as a park larger than 100 times the earth, and round about on every side lie the crystalline borders of Ethereal worlds. And when they were assembled, Jehovah spake out of the Latin errant, saying, 16 times have my Ethereal host redeemed the earth and her heavens from darkness into light, and yet ere the end of a cycle she falleth again, and her atmosphere wither. And now it hath come to pass that her heavens are filled with thousands of millions of spirits that know not me and my emancipated worlds. Spake ye, O ye gods and the goddesses. Thereupon Sutlu saith, O Jehovah, I have heard, I have beholden. Too prolific is the earth, the young daughter of heaven. Too prolific is the red star of the firmament. Next spake Kawaha, saying, Thou hast spoken, O Jehovah. Too prolific is the rich earth, O Father. Her mortals are overpowered by her atmospheric hosts. Her people build up cities and nations. Her season after dawn, but soon they are overflooded by beetles and drewjaws, and the mortal devour one another as beasts of the prey. Chai John said, Her people have tilled all the soil of the earth and covered it over with cities. But where are they? Her people have been learned in the matters of heaven and earth, but their knowledge is dissipated by the dread hand of war. Duida said, Her people become wise in a day, but on the next they are fools. One generation becometh skilled in books and in knowledge of the sun and moon and stars, and in mathematics of corporeal things. But a generation followeth, and lo, her people are cannibals again. Ha! galls in, said, I have heard, O Jehovah, I have witnessed, O Father, the Red Star is too prolific. She is like a garden too rich. Her products are overgrown, and they fall down and doubly enrich the soul again, to reproduce an imperfect giant stalk that is barren. So are her sons and daughters. They run all earthly substances. Luwan said, Great Spirit, I have a heard, I have a seen on it. We gather the earth's a harvest for thee, O Jehovah, but they're small. We gather in earth's harvest to dark spirits, O Jehovah, and they're 10 times larger. Behold, there's no balance between them. Thus spake the gods and goddesses till thousands of them had spoken. After that the voice of Jehovah spake, saying, Ye are blessed, my sons and daughters. How can ye bequeath the administration of the earth under heaven to the earth-born, till she is made suitable as a gift from my hand? Now hear me, O my sons and daughters. 5 great divisions of the earth have I made, and they have all been inhabited over and tilled by mortals. Yea, on all the divisions of the earth have there been great cities, and nations and men and women of great learning. And as oft as they are raised up in light, so are they again cast down into darkness, because of the great desire of the spirits of the dead to return back to the earth. These drudges return to mortals, and fasten upon them as fatals or as familiars, and inspire them to do evil. Go now to the earth, O my beloved, and find the division of the earth where most these drudges congregate, for I will uproot their stronghold. I will break them from their haunts, and they shall no longer carry my people down to destruction. And now the council deliberated, and after a while caused the records of the earth and her atmosphere to be examined. And they discovered that the heaven of the land of Pan was beyond redemption because of the great numbers of the spirits of the cannibals and of the multitude of fatals. It was as if a disease in the flesh be healed over eternally, having the root of the disease within. So was Whaga in her heaven. The redemption of the cycles remained not with her, but evil broke out forever in a new way. So Jehovah said, Now will I prune the earth in her heaven. Behold, the division of Whaga shall be hewn off and cast beneath the waters of the ocean. Her heaven shall be no longer tenable by the spirits of destruction. For I will rend the foundation thereof, and scatter in the winds of heaven. Go ye therefore down to the earth, and provide nets and benches for receiving the spirits of darkness, and for receiving the spirits of mortals who shall perish in the waters, and provide ye a place in my exalted heavens suitable for 'em, and ye shall wall 'em about in heaven that they cannot escape, but that they may be weaned from evil. And when ye are come to the earth and its heavens, acquaint my God and his lords with my decree, and say to him, Thus saith Jehovah, Behold, behold, I will sink the land of Whaga beneath the waters of the ocean, and her heaven will I carry away to a place in my firmament, where she shall no longer engulf my people in darkness. And Jehovah saith, Go thou, O God of heaven, and thou, O Lord of Whaga, down to my chosen, the hens, and say to 'em, Thus saith the Great Spirit, Behold, behold, I will sink the lands of the earth beneath the ocean, because of the evil of the spirits of darkness. Hear me, O my chosen, and heed my commandments. Fold all hands and build ships in all places, even in the valleys and on the mountains, and let my faithful gather together within the ships. For my hand is surely stretched over the earth. And ye shall also proclaim unto the earth and her heaven, that from the first, even in the ancient days, I proclaim my 3 worlds into all people, which are my corporeal worlds, and the lower heavens that belong thereto, and my ethereal heavens, which are in the firmament above. And I said, the first glory is of the earth, whereon is paradise, when man obeyeth my commandments. And the second glory, which is greater than the first, I created for the spirits of the dead. But I bound the lower heaven to the earth, that it might travel therewith, that the communion of the dead with the living might add a glory unto both. But the upper heaven I made the highest of all glories, and I filled the ethereal firmament with countless worlds of their kind, or their dwelling places of those that rose in the third resurrection. And I sent from the exalted heavens down to the lower heavens, and to the earth also, my holy angels, over whom I appointed gods and lords in the majesty of my dominions. And they came a-proclaiming these things in my name, teaching both mortals and spirits how to live, that they might rise and inherit my illuminated worlds. What? And because a man was without knowledge, my gods and lords appointed certain masters of generations, Luais, who were Etherians of great wisdom, to abide with mortals and inspire such marriages as would best promote spiritual growth from the start. And there came forth among all peoples certain ones capable of Sargais and Suais, and they heeded the commandments of my gods and the lords, forsaking evil and striving to serve the spirit, a choosing me above all things. Wherefore I chose them also, and called them eye-hens, for as much as they commenced a putting away self and a serving me, whilst they were yet in corpore, so were they not born in the spirit world before their full time. And when so are others not of full birth, who have not in the corporeal form begun to triumph in spirit over their own flesh. Jehovah said, Go forth, O my sons and daughters, and prune my vineyard. Beseech my God of the earth and his lords with him, to gather together all the angels of the earth, from east to west and from north to south, to the land of Whagabringham. My Etherian ships of fire shall surround Whaga on every side, and I will cut loose the foundations of the earth at the borders of the ocean and the mountains again, nor shall any proper cornerstone stay my hand. And I will send rains and winds and a thundering, and the waters of the great deep shall come upon the lands, and the great cities shall go down and be swallowed into the sea. and the rich valleys of Maya, with their 1,000 cities, shall be rent with the madness of men and of women, fleeing before the waters of the ocean. And men and children shall fall by the way and be drowned, and men shall go down in the water and rise not, and the wide plains of Og, with her 1,000 cities, and with the great capital of Penge, and the temples of Ku, and Bart, and Gan, and Saying, shall sink to rise no more. And in the deluge the air of heaven shall be filled with the screaming and wailing of millions of mortals a going down to destruction. I will rescue him from darkness. I will carry him to Aegean regions which I previously created for spirits of darkness, and I will appoint over him gods and goddesses to teach him me and my kingdoms. What? And the earth and her heaven shall take a new start amongst my habitable worlds. Thus have I provided labor for my high-raised angels in the places I created, saith Jehovah. And the synopsis of heavenly records. Book of Af, son of Jehovah, being the heavenly records of Af, son of Jehovah, and his companion Ninya, daughter of Jehovah, as pertaineth to the submersion of the continent of Wagga, afterward called Pan, signifying earth, and the period was commonly called the deluge, or flood of waters. Chapter 1. In the time of the world, 24,000 years before the Cosmon era, the great serpent, the solar phalanx, being in the ark of Noah, in the Etherean heavens, and in the Samahout in Gia, 87, the earth and her heavens were in great darkness, but the Spirit of Jehovah moved upon his high-raised God, Af, in Etheria, to consecrate new dominions on the earth and her heavens. Af said, I, Af, son of Jehovah, God in the ark of Noah, in Samahout, in Etheria, came to Hadda, heaven of the red star, in Jehovah's name, in his wisdom, power, and love manifested in mine own resurrection, to become companion to gods and goddesses, and Orient chiefs on the thrones of high heaven, proclaim to the atmospherian spirits of the earth, and to the spirits of the first, second, and third resurrection, abiding on the earth or near thereto, either with mortals or without, to their God and Lord and to their Savior, and all holy ones by Jehovah, raised up for the redemption of men and angels. The Lord's first book, being contemporaneous with the book of Af, son of Jehovah, and as the latter is a heaven, so is the Lord's book of the earth, for which reason one book is placed above the other. Chapter 1. The history of the flood. Hear me, O man, I am the Lord, the God of the earth, son of Jehovah. I am one of thine elder brothers. I, thy Lord, with my brother lords and the gods, in the name of Jehovah, speak a saying, peace and patience be unto all men, that ye may comprehend my words, and bear witness that heaven and earth and every part is Jehovah's, and that all men and women are his sons and daughters, worlds without end. As as over mortal kingdoms, kings as over empires, emperors as over armies and generals, so hath Jehovah in his heavens crowned certain chieftains for that times and places, and given to 'em certain names, whereby they have been proclaimed men and angels, so that the discipline of heavens might manifest the glory and dominion of Jehovah, in all time honored in high heaven, and known to people on earth as Jehovah's the Lord, commander of heavenly light on earth, and pacificator betwixt all light and all darkness, and entitled Lord of earth and Lord of God. So have I, my predecessors and my successors, been handed down for thousands of years amongst mortals. Whereas if it be said the king said this, and the generations after it be said the king said this, and all men know it was not the same man, but was nevertheless the king, so also proclaim I the Lord my predecessors and successors, for of all them were and have been the Lord.